Well, forget the 130-foot Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Atheists, agnostics, and other non-believers across the country now have a monument of their own to adore. Or rather, it's a celebration of secularism, according to the American Atheist group, which just wrapped up a year-long court battle this past week. The lawsuit demands for a local Christian group to remove its monument of the 10 Commandments from a local park outside the Bradford County Courthouse in Stark, Florida. A settlement, however, allows that that monument that you see right there to stand alongside that 10 Commandments monument. This one was built by the Atheist group. It's a 5-foot-long gray granite bench that features secular quotes from the Founding Fathers. Joining me now to detail the lawsuit and the new monument in more depth is David Muscato. He is the American Atheist Organization spokesperson. Hi there, David. Thank you so much for joining me. I just gave a brief description of that bench. Can you describe it in a little more detail?
Sure. Well, like you said, it's 5 feet long. It's granite, gray. We wanted something that was functional, that had utility, as opposed to the 10 Commandments monument, which just sits there that you look at. It has a pillar in the back with our logo on the top, which is the symbol for atheism. And like you said, quotes from the founders of this country, a quote from Madalyn Murray O'Hair, and also an excerpt from the Treaty of Tripoli, which was the first treaty of the United States that says the United States was not founded on Christianity.
Now, David, there are thousands of religious monuments across the country and around the world. Why was this one of the 10 Commandments too much to bear, enough so to make you bring up a lawsuit?
Well, one of our members initiated this. Basically, our position is just that the 10 Commandments does not belong on public property. It's a overtly religious symbol, and it has no place in government land. And really, this was just where we started. It could have been anywhere. It just happened to be Stark, Florida.
Now, on the other hand, as I understand it, you have a kind of anti-10 Commandments list on yours, which says the possible punishments for things you could suffer if you broke the 10 Commandments. And that is, in fact, getting a lot of criticism from other atheist groups and what have you. Can you talk about why they are annoyed that you brought up the 10 Commandments at all in your monument and your group's response to those other atheists?
Well, some people feel that by bringing the Bible into our monument, we're making this an anti-religious monument, as opposed to a monument about secularism or celebrating secularism, which is part of the purpose of the monument. But the other purpose of the monument is to show that the Bible is a primitive and brutal document, that there's this idea that it's that the Bible, the 10 Commandments specifically, are this just kind of good moral code that we can all kind of agree on. But that's not true. It's very, very brutal if you actually sit and read it. The punishments call for death 7 out of 10 times, and it's not something that civilized people live by.
And finally, let's take a look at the Gallup poll that was conducted in May regarding American attitudes toward religion. 77% of Americans believe religion is losing its influence on American life as a whole. But according to that same poll, 75% of Americans said the country would be better off if it was more religious. Any thoughts as to why we're seeing this change? I mean, is it cultural?
Well, I think part of it's cultural, part of it is just better access to information. With the internet proliferating, people can find out that a lot of this stuff is a scam. God doesn't exist. And they can see that there are other cultures with many different beliefs, and that they're not right just because they happen to be born in the United States and they were raised Christians. As far as people thinking that it would be better if it were more religious, that's not true. We can clearly see that the people who have less religion have better lives, and as a result.
David Muscato from the American Atheist Organization, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.